Salutations and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kidology and I make videos about anything and everything to do with modern society. And I mean that because today we're talking about hair. I've been wanting to talk about this for such a long time on this channel and I've never known how to. And this video is compiled of clips from a few months ago when I tried to make this video at first when I was trying to deal with a period of really having major insecurities about my hair. I mean, I always do, but this was a particular time where I was feeling quite raw about it because I was getting a lot of comments about wearing a wig, about wearing a weave, about letting down black woman, and I just have a lot of feelings about this. And I have noticed, being online, that hair is everything. And whilst hair is everything, I also haven't the foggiest idea why it is everything. Hair makes no sense to me whatsoever, but we will fight to the death online about hair. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So this is going to be a bit of a chatty video. It's not terribly well scripted. It contains segments of me just talking about my own personal journey, as well as a bit more analysis about a climate of hair today that vexes me quite a bit. And I hope you, as a man or a woman or whatever you are, can relate to this. And please share your experiences and your opinions down in the comment section. And let's have a conversation. But hold on for just 1 second, because I think this is a very apt opportunity to give a very warm and huge thank you to today's video sponsor, MDhair. Now, as you know or are about to find out through this video, I have had major hair insecurities since I was a wee lass. 'Tis the way of the world. Now, why I'm so excited about working with MDhair is because it has allowed me to address something that I've always wanted to, but have never known how to, especially as a black woman whose hair type and texture is oftentimes just ignored by hair loss treatment products, by the hair industry at large. Until now. MDhair is the world's first medical grade hair growth treatment that is entirely sustainable, clean and natural. What I personally love about MDhair is that it is an entirely customizable kit containing different, although complementary products made to address your exact cause and type of hair loss. All I had to do was take a concise quiz on MDhair's website, and this quiz is very unique because it uses AI technology in order to analyze my answers in relation to a scalp photograph. And not only does this give you, as it has given me, a completely customizable and personal treatment kit, but it has also allowed me to track my hair growth progress over time. I remember using the serum on day 1, and as you can see in this photograph, my hair is dry, it's dead, as it has been since I was a wee lass. I have suffered from major hair loss whenever I've tried to comb my hair or tried to brush my hair, and as a result my scalp is very itchy all the time. And as you can see, by day 6 I noticed real changes, and well and truly I was not expecting that at all. It was so shocking to me. Having this technology, as well as 24/7 dermatologist support and the option of free fine-tuning if I have any concerns with my progress, is such a brilliant and reassuring addition. Taking my customized supplements has, in under 2 months, made me feel so much better. I have always been terrible at staying replenished or knowing what key ingredients are needed for not just my hair growth, but also by default for my body in general. I can't even taste it. It's incredible. All I'm tasting is my Elizabeth Holmes green juice. Whenever there is a big jar of powder, you think, oh goodness, I cannot do this, I will never do this. Don't worry, MDhair has you. Use my promo code Kidology70 to get your first month of customized products at 70% off. As you can see, for this ad, I actually had to show you my real hair. That was very, very difficult, but seeing the improvements and actually having something that has been working for me really gave me the confidence that I have never had with regards to showing my hair, with regards to actually caring for my hair. And it's actually been more helpful than in just this being a sponsorship. I can't really put it into words, but hopefully the rest of this video will help to explain that. And now let's get back to the video. So last week I saw this viral clip circulating Twitter, and it was interesting because this was apparently a viral clip some 80 years ago, and I just thought it was very interesting and really brought something up in my mind.
You're saying that I can't have a hairstyle because of your culture? Why?
Because it's my culture. You know what box means?
Do you know it was in Egyptian culture? Are you Egyptian? Nah, bro, you're not.
Are you Egyptian? Are you Egyptian?
No, but it doesn't matter.
Wait, where's Egypt? Tell me.
You know what, girl?
Where's Egypt?
Dude, go. You have no right to tell me what I can wear. Huh?
Where's Egypt?
Yo, girl, stop touching me right now.
Yo, girl, stop touching me right now. Come back.
Get off of me.
Come back, come back, come back. You put your hands on me, no words.
Like, you know, makes sense and shit because of what the hair I have? That's no reason, yo. I don't need your disrespect. I don't need your disrespect.
Why are you filming this?
Just for everyone's safety.
Yes, for everyone's safety. And then he put it online. I know from the backlash that this young woman received that she got death threats and all kinds of terrible threats. And so I am really not condoning any of that or interested in any of that. But this is something that I have noticed around our conversations about hair, about cultural appropriation, and a very sensitive topic when it comes to things such as wearing wigs and weaves as a black woman. And although this video is about the calling out of cultural appropriation by a young, seemingly Caucasian fellow, it really cements the idea for me about how politicized hair is, especially among particular communities, namely in this case the African American community, and by default therefore everybody else who is black, and is therefore instantly swept up into these conversations, into these same kinds of moral questions, and into this entire discourse. It doesn't matter that I'm from South Africa, that I am from a completely different culture. By fact of being on the internet, I am instantly told that I am either disrespecting a black woman, that I am causing shame to young black girls. The obsession over black hair has a very comprehensive and complex history. From around 2010, the mainstream media became absolutely obsessed with Naomi Campbell's traction alopecia. In 2010, Hannah Poole wrote in The Guardian, "Some might consider it karma, but it's hard not to feel at least a pang of sympathy for Naomi Campbell. Speculation about the state of the model's hair underneath her extensions has gone on for years, and new photographs appear to confirm that she is suffering from a severe case of traction alopecia." We all remember the G.I. Jane memes which circulated following Chris Rock's joke at Jada Pinkett Smith.
Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right?
As well as Will Smith's
Wow, dude.
Yes.
It was a G.I. Jane joke.
Keep my wife's name out your mouth.
I'm going to.
response. And what I found very curious is that our society and the media tend to have a very peculiar and morbid interest and sort of gleeful curiosity in discovering that beautiful or famous women experience issues with hair loss or alopecia. This is considering that over 40% of women experience hair loss. Keira Knightley caused some shockwaves when she revealed that she'd been wearing wigs for years. There tends to be quite a misconception about wigs and weaves. It tends to be something that is almost exclusively associated with black women and not with any other woman or any other racial group. As a black woman, God, I hate starting a sentence with as a insert political identity below. As a black woman, I have really noticed how black hair, especially black women's hair, is a perfect example of the one thing I loathe more than anything else, which is the personal being political. In the 1960s to 1970s, the Afro hair movement was intimately intertwined with the civil rights movement. And it feels like there is a never-ending cycle when it comes to, on the one hand, the natural hair movement, and on the other rather the straight hair movement. Following the 1960s to 1970s, in which natural hair was very much a political statement, the 1990s to early 2000s saw a preoccupation and somewhat obsession with straight hair. Think supermodels like Naomi Campbell. However, from the early 2010s, oh my goodness, I sound like a fashion guru. However, from the early 2010s, the natural hair movement saw a resurgence on YouTube. Now, as somebody who wasn't on YouTube at all at this time, when I say that I literally came to YouTube 3-4 years ago, I mean it. Everything that I have been watching on the natural hair movement, as well as figures who are still very prominent in the movement, has really made me incredibly disdainful about the state of hair. Now, just like the rise of the natural hair movement in the 1960s and 70s to its decline by the 1990s to early 2000s, we saw the emergence or resurgence of the natural hair movement in the early 2010s, and then once the pandemic hit, it also came to a halt. Vogue's beauty associate Twiggy Jallow says that along with being a time of experimentation, lockdown saw the emergence of femininity coaches, the BBL aesthetic, and so-called high-value men, all of which drove beauty standards back toward long, straight hair. Now, my personal experience with the natural hair movement has never been a positive one. And this is because there seems to be a very strict and very well-maintained line between those who are very much under the impression that hair is political, that hair is something which has to do with not just civil rights, but with you as a representative of other people. Your personal hair choices have mainstream ramifications for other people. The amount of gatekeeping that goes on with regards to what kind of hair or what type of hair you have is extraordinary to me.
And it's supposed to be like a natural hair page. And when I screenshot everything, because you know me, I be having receipts, honey, so I must put them up. But every single time she posted somebody who was light skinned, she would put a heart eyes and be like, oh my god, look how beautiful they are, right? And then with me being the darkest person on that fucking platform, she writes thoughts. Like, that's fucked up. That's fucking colorist. Like, you don't attack anyone else. And it's so in 4K, bitch. Like, I have the screenshots. And I have the screenshots of her pinning the comment that somebody was saying where I was unkempt and my hair is disgusting. Like, she pinned it. So clearly she's doing this to set me up.
And this takes me back to, well, what Fleabag said.
Hair isn't everything.
Wow. Hair is everything. We wish it wasn't, so we can actually think about something else occasionally, but it is. It's the difference between a good day and a bad day. We're meant to think that it's a symbol of power, that it's a symbol of fertility. Some people are exploited for it and it pays your fucking bills. Hair is everything, Anthony.
Yes. Hair is everything. But this example of the constant bickering between the natural hair and the straight hair movement is a perfect instance of why is hair everything? What does anybody gain from battling each other out about everybody else's hair? It feels like another example, especially in the black community, whatever that may mean, to simply designate who is a proper, worthy and righteous black person and who isn't. If you wear wigs, you are not a proper black person. If you don't know how to look after your hair, by Joves, you are definitely a self-hating black person, if you are even considered a black person. And it does feel as if this infighting is never ending and is never going anywhere. It simply induces trends and waves that perpetually go from either being for the natural hair movement or for the straight hair movement. I guess my question is, who is this helping and who is this benefiting? As soon as your textured hair and your natural coils or your 4C hair serve some kind of political agenda, then everybody thinks that you are beautiful and you are important. A few trends later, straight hair and fake hair and extensions will come into fashion, and suddenly you are not important. I think this is the problem with finding validation in political norms and in political or politicized discourse and conversations. But those are just my 2 cents. I love getting a new wig. Getting a new wig is like getting a brand new part of me that's worn down and that I can just reapply, and suddenly I feel like me. And this is a very recent phenomena in my life, really. I remember when I left university and I started applying for jobs. I was getting rejected left, right and center for every job that I applied for, and the picture of me on my CV was with me donning my natural hair, which I haven't shown in years. And it's interesting because as soon as I erased my picture from my CV, I got interviews. And so I went to a beautician who did my makeup. I got a wig and I went to an interview, the exact same protocol of submitting a CV without picture. Went to the interview with makeup and with hair, and lo and behold, first job, I got it. And of course, I'm not saying that there's any causal relationship between this. Of course, I'm not saying that, these employees are racist or racially discriminating or sexist, misogynist. Of course not. I'm not saying that. But I do believe that presentation is key, not just for other people and how they engage with you, but how you feel about yourself. And I definitely have noticed how I feel about myself when I am wearing makeup, when I am wearing a wig or a weave. Suddenly, my confidence improves exponentially. And even if it isn't verbally expressed, it is insofar as my mannerisms are concerned. I'm a lot more robust, let's just say that. I'm a lot more confident in just my stride, in knowing where I'm going. It's great. I feel like I have direction and purpose. And all of this derives from makeup and wigs. And it's been really interesting being on YouTube, because on YouTube, the response to my wearing wigs has not really been a positive one all the time. It really has been one in which it's used often to express how self-hating I am, how I'm self-loathing, how I want to be white, how I have internalized whiteness, and how this is something that does a disservice to blackness and the true black person that I am. I've even had my hair described as a rug. And these things do obviously hurt me. Inevitably, they hurt me, because I think when it comes to hair is everything. It really is everything. And I have come to realize that very suddenly in my adulthood, how it really changes everything. These are things that I notice on dating apps. When I was first on dating apps on OkCupid, I had my natural hair and I got 0 responses. Not even exaggerating. 0 responses from men on OkCupid. When incels say that they've gotten 0 responses? Yeah, 0. It's so interesting because now when I go on dating apps, well, not right now, but I did get responses. I got people who were actually interested in me, and it was a really fascinating thing, especially with women, to see sort of the difference in responses that I got on her, for instance, when I had my hair and makeup done, of course, but specifically my hair relative to when I didn't. And I've always just found that very telling. I haven't found it something sad per se. I don't really care too much about that, but I have found it quite telling about how important these things are, how ever present they are, especially with women, and the issue of hair. When I say that getting a new wig is honestly the most exciting day for me every 4 or so months, I mean it. I got this wig and I've just taken it out of its bag, and I'm about to wash it and style it and curl it and do everything that I also love to do. It's a whole process. It's probably going to take at least 5 hours, and I know that every day not every day, every couple of days, I'm going to curl my hair, and that's going to take an hour and a half. I know that I'm going to blow dry my hair, which is going to take another half hour every single day. I know that I'm going to wash my hair, which is going to take quite a bit of time every single week. And I know that this is going to be my life. And of course, it's easier when I think in my mind, when I think at the end of the day, when I've turned off all the lights and I take off my wig, all the curtains are drawn, and I climb into bed and I don't even look in the mirror. I really have a very difficult, and I wouldn't say hating, I don't sort of hate my hair. I think hate is a very strong word. I think hate very much has connotations of envy of other people's hair. And of course, sometimes I watch one of of my favorite YouTubers, Amberlynn Reid, and I look at her hair and I think, wow, I wish I had hair like that. But I think it becomes quite difficult, and it is something that's very difficult as somebody who's black, because our hair is so heavily scrutinized, not just by us as individuals, but by other black women and by, at large, the black community, who have very politicized views about hair. And this is one of my issues with the fact that the personal is political rhetoric, because it takes something as personal as hair, something as joyous for me as getting a wig, and I know that somebody will have something to say about it that will inevitably reduce my hair to politics and to a matter of representation. And of course, women have so many different reasons for wearing wigs, which is absolutely fine, and I think is perfectly understandable. But I think that often, in order to try and hide the shame or the insecurities that we have about our natural hair, we try to spin the moral message around it. I'll see articles online that black women wear wigs in order to protect their lovely, luscious natural curls. How black women wear wigs because this helps their hair to grow. Things like that. Of course, I'm sure this is the case for many a woman, but I do feel that this sort of narrative, this sort of alternative spin on the reasons for, are applied sort of universally where they needn't be or where they don't apply as readily. For me personally, I don't wear wigs and weaves in order to protect my natural hair. I wear wigs and weaves because I don't like my natural hair, and I think that's okay, because that's a very personal thing. It's not a political thing. It doesn't apply to you or to any other black girl or to any other black woman or black man or what have you. It applies to me and how I feel and my personal history and my personal story with regards to my hair. If you've been on this channel for a while, you will know that I was raised by white South Africans. Taking care of my hair was never a part of my cultural upbringing or childhood. There was no combing my hair, there was no putting my hair into braids, there was none of that. The only thing I ever did at one point was relax my hair with very strong chemicals in order to keep and straighten my hair, because it was so much easier to look after and maintain in the very mediocre way in which I tried to. I didn't have any understanding of these things, from hair care to skin care. I never wore moisturizer. If you ran your fingernail over my skin very lightly, it would produce a chalk-like effect, which was very entertaining for a lot of my black peers. Nonetheless, these things have been getting to me in the way of criticism, I suppose. Criticism that all seems to sort of spider off, or rather the spidering sort of comes together to the abdomen, which is labeled whiteness, and all of the evidence around it, seemingly the fact that I have hair the way that I do, accusations of skin lightening, which I do get, accusations that my accent is put on, that I am British or trying to be British at least, that my hair is a perfect example of why I'm trying to emulate whiteness. And you know, it's interesting, and it's also quite conflicting for me because of my just inevitable personal history of growing up surrounded by white individuals, white South Africans. And of course, I know this is very controversial to say, but white people are not a monolith, okay? There are rich white people, there are poor white people, there are white people of every single cultural hue the world around. So I say whiteness very specifically to a very specific kind of white individual and white subculture in South Africa, not at all a monolith of whiteness or white privilege or whatever that non-word means. And so my upbringing has been one of very much assimilated into a particular subculture of whiteness. And so inevitably I identify and associate very emotionally and very psychologically with that. And I don't see that as a good or a bad thing. I see that as just being the inevitable course of history which we are all caught in and have no choice about and cannot redirect or cannot wish otherwise. It is the human condition, and we are caught in it, and we have to accept our fate rather than try and defy it or try to pretend that it is otherwise, or try to somehow make ourselves feel better about ourselves and our particular understanding of the world by putting others who don't conform to it down in their place. And I do find that some things are taken for granted. Some things, such as growing up surrounded by family, surrounded by a black woman, a black man who know how to take care of their hair and pass these skills and these traits on to their children, really appreciate and respect the cultivation of a culture around hair that isn't the, at least, beauty standard or beauty norm of straight Caucasian textured hair. And I do find that I get punished for this, or that individuals like me get punished for these things, get punished for not knowing what to do or not having the same kind of positive connotations around our textured or non-Caucasian hair. And this isn't to exclude Caucasians from this. I know many a Caucasian who have the most textured, most other orderly hair around that is very unconventional and beautiful in its own way. Unfortunately, I just haven't found myself terribly interested in something that I have always had a very contentious relationship with. And the thing with wigs, the double-edged sword with wigs and weaves, is that I can not care about what is underneath the weave or the wig. I can just care about the weave and the wig. As I said, I spend hours a week taking care of my wigs and my weaves, and 0 time taking care of my natural hair. But all of this is just to say that, yes, hair is everything. And it's tricky to love yourself when my experience has been that people have only loved me when I haven't shown my hair. Bald men are hopefully and very gradually getting far better recognition and treatment from modern society. For instance, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, to the incel community's fave, Jeremy Meeks, to my personal fave, Stanley Tucci. But even though the bald man is getting his well-deserved recognition, the bald woman, not so much. Baldness, especially when it comes to women, is almost always associated with either sickness from alopecia or cancer, or she is seen as being an intentional social outcast, like the late Sinead O'Connor or Doja Cat.
Women love this haircut. Hailey Bieber recently got the same one, and every single time I see it, I'm like, okay, is there any guy in the world that finds this haircut attractive?
Oh, no. Hell no.
And does it make a difference if the haircut happens to be on the most beautiful women in the world, like Kim and Hailey, or is the haircut just ugly no matter what? Because I just refuse to believe that any man thinks this haircut is cute. It is totally a haircut just for the girls. And also, I think it's a little bit too short. I think we need to let this go. Am I right?
This post was made recently by a Instagram channel, I guess you can call it. I'm sorry, I don't spend much time on Instagram, called Poplitics, which is titled as being pop culture without the propaganda. And as I'm sure you can imagine, the comments were brutal because this is an incredibly sensitive topic. I agree with a lot of your opinions, Alex, that is the woman presenting, but not this. You're basically implying that women should dress and style their hair only to please men and to fit into the beauty standard of the male gaze, which if nothing else is absurd because everyone is attracted to different things. Also, the same hairstyle doesn't suit everyone. Just because you personally wouldn't cut your hair that short doesn't change the fact that there are plenty of women out there who can totally rock the French chic bob. I think this has got to be one of the most shallow posts from Poplitics thus far. And yes, men love this cut. If you don't get it, don't try it. But I'm all for women highlighting their assets confidently in more modest ways like this, rather than showing off their bodies. You remind me of myself when I was young. Your opinions reek of young and unwise. A lot of your takes lately have me thinking she won't be so confident after she has natural life experiences. Things change change as you age and live. Just an old woman trying to give you a tip. Now, this is just my 2 cents, but online it feels as if black women's hair is about politics and about it being a very politicized conversation and discourse, whereas it feels as if white women's hair is rarely always reduced to whether men find it attractive or not. And I think this is an interesting conversation because it does speak to the importance of self-worth versus trying to attract a mate or to attract men, and ultimately our fixation and obsession with evolutionary psychology and trying to explain everything and trying to explain the complexities and the very, very distinct and personalized actions, thoughts, and ways of individuals based on a theory which most of psychology does not even resort to. There doesn't seem to be any consensus in the studies that I have read regarding whether long-haired women are considered to be the default more attractive to men. Some studies suggest that a woman's hair length does not actually significantly influence how attractive she is perceived by men, whereas some, which lean a lot more into the evolutionary psychological perspective, tend to see women with longer hair as therefore depicting greater health and fertility, and therefore as a result being more attractive. There is also an idea that a woman with short hair is seen as more independent, as less feminine, and as being more self-assured and confident. But one study I read found that men actually find women with long and short hair to be equally self-assured, to be equally confident and independent, whether or not they had long hair. And just to preface, this is all based on Western societies. Of course, this is very different the world over. If you go to South Asia, it is a very different conversation when it comes to women and hair length. But ultimately, I think that this all comes down to, at least in the West, personal preference, trends, and of course, culture. Our culture is one that is increasingly dictated by trends, and sometimes short hair and pixie cuts are trending, other times bobs are trending, other times bangs are trending, and other times not. Like so much of the research on human beauty, there's enough conflicting evidence that the only firm conclusion we can draw is that there's no conclusion yet. Science can't predict what makes someone alluring to us, and I'm happy to argue that the best thing any of us can do to be an attractive package is to do what feels right. It's hard to be your most attractive self when you're uncomfortable. So even if research shows that long-haired women are more attractive, long hair won't work for you if you don't find it comfortable. I'm not suggesting that any of us should slavishly follow the research in an effort to chase the beauty dragon. Grow your hair long, keep it short, or wear wigs if you like. Just know that beauty-wise, hair alone won't ensure that any of us make the cut. And I think that's an apt ending. I think it is all about comfort. And I've never felt comfortable with my natural hair. I'm trying to. I am really trying to, which is why I'm so happy that MDhair agreed to sponsor this video. But I do think hair is a very interesting conversation to have because it means everything to us. But as I think this video just shows in whatever this video is, why does it mean everything? Because it ultimately means nothing. Why does hair mean everything? Why is it so important to us? Why do I spend so much of my hard-earned money on my hair? Not even my hair, but my fake hair. It blows my mind, and I'm sure it blows your mind, or I'm sure you have something to tell me that will enlighten me and give me some insight into this never-ending question that I have. Thank you so much for watching this video. I would love to hear from you, especially if there are any men. I would really, really love to hear from you about how you perceive your hair, how you see your hair, what it means to you, and what you've come to terms with. It would be a very interesting conversation to read and to engage in. Thank you so much to MDhair for sponsoring today's video, and I will see all of you very, very soon in the next one.